So my name is Andy Jacob, and I'm very, very delighted, Ralph, to be on the show and to speak to so many young, aspiring entrepreneurs and all over the world today. And I've been in business for about 30 years, and I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I've been doing entrepreneurship since the time I was 14 years old when I started my first business, which was a snow shoveling business in Michigan. I had a paper route, and from there I went to college and just really have had the opportunity to enjoy entrepreneurship. I have built four multi-million dollar companies. My companies have done over $12 billion in sales, and it's just a delight to be on the show to talk about entrepreneurship and help so many young people think about what entrepreneurship means and how it might be able to positively impact their lives.
Absolutely. One of the kids just messaged me and they want to know what were some of the subjects that you were passionate about growing up in school?
Well, this is very interesting because I really didn't understand what entrepreneurship was. As a matter of fact, when I went to college at Oregon State University, my goal was to become a teacher. I wanted to be a teacher and a coach, Ralph, and you're a great teacher yourself. And I wanted to be a football coach, American football. And I played football in college for 1 year. But when I graduated from college, I realized that my passion to teach could transfer over also to teach people on my team as an entrepreneur. So what I did was I went to college to become an educator and a teacher and a coach, but then I quickly learned that I loved to teach people things. And if I could teach people things in the business aspect, in the business area, that I could become an entrepreneur, surround myself with great talented people, of course, listen to them, because it's very important to listen to people all the time with regard to how they're giving you feedback, but teach them things that could help empower them to make the company great.
That's great. And small world, I'm from downriver Detroit, Michigan. So we're not from too far away. So we have a question from Mev. She is in Italy, and I'll unmute her. She had a really great question. You should be able to ask, Mev.
Hi, nice to meet you, sir. It's really an honor. I would like to know, what are the things a startup needs to be successful? Thanks to your work skills, how do you recognize them when a company is solid or strong and that will resist in change of work?
So that's a great question, and thank you so much for asking it. You know, what I like to think about, and what is very important for young entrepreneurs to think about, is you simply want to wake up in the morning and try and be great. And one thing that you're going to realize on your pathway of entrepreneurship, building your own business, is you're going to make a lot of mistakes as well. And every great entrepreneur makes a lot of mistakes. So that's part of entrepreneurship. So you have to get your head around the fact that you're not going to be perfect all the time, and neither is your company. So when I look at companies, it's very easy to determine which of the companies are the great companies. And the great companies are the ones that when they make a mistake, which they all do, they don't repeat that same mistake many, many times. They make one mistake, they learn from that mistake, and they never make that mistake again. And it's the same thing in life. We all make mistakes. We all have challenges along our path as a human being. And the key is that when you make a mistake, you don't make that mistake again. You learn from it. And what I like to say is that life is really about having little mini Harvard MBA moments. And what I mean by that is you get to make mistakes along your path as a person. In your business, you make a lot of mistakes along the path to greatness, but you have these little moments along the way where all these mistakes happen that you can learn and say to yourself, you know, I just made a mistake. I own up to that mistake. I take ownership of that mistake. I'm going to fix the mistake, and then I'm never going to let that mistake happen again. So to answer your question, great companies, they learn from their mistakes and they continue to become empowered to learn from the mistakes and basically put themselves in the position to continue to expand their business through great decisions from the mistakes that they've made.
It sounds like you're describing a lot of reflection and self-reflection. It sounds like it's continual, like in the success process.
That's right, Ralph. And Tony Robbins has a great way that he puts it. He calls it constant and never-ending improvement. And that's what life is all about. You're continually improving. And young people have a tough time getting their arms around the fact that mistakes are actually good. You should celebrate your mistakes. Now, you don't want to make mistakes on purpose. You try not to make mistakes. But when you make a mistake, you should celebrate your mistake, because you know that that's putting you on the path to greatness. Because the more mistakes you make early and the more you learn from them and the more that you're never going to make them again, the faster you become a great entrepreneur.
One of the students here, they wanted me to ask on their behalf, they wanted to know, what is a day like for an entrepreneur? Like when you were owning businesses or starting them up, you know, I'm guessing where she was going with this question, she kind of wants to know, how long is a day for a startup entrepreneur?
Well, for a startup entrepreneur, the days run into the nights and the nights run into the mornings and the mornings run into the days, because there really is no time that you really look at the clock. You just have to get it done no matter what time of day that it is. So there's no real time, like you wake up at 7 o'clock in the morning, you work out, you get some breakfast, you start at 8, you go to 6. As a startup entrepreneur, there's nothing like that. It's not a lot of balance. You know, everyone talks about balance these days, about having balance between your family life and your business life and your social life and your spiritual life. As a startup entrepreneur, there's not much balance. You're pretty much going all in all the time in every way, shape, or form that you can, continually, to make yourself a successful entrepreneur and to make your startup great. So don't expect to get a whole lot of sleep. Don't expect to be able to go to restaurants all the time and spend as much time as you would like with all of your friends and your family, because really what happens is the business itself really becomes your life. So you've got to be all in on that business.
So we have a really awesome question from Giorgio. Giorgio, you should be able to unmute to ask Andy.
Yes, of course. So first of all, hello, sir. It's an honor to meet you. And my question is, what inspired you to really get in the world of entrepreneurship?
So Giorgio, that's a great question. And what I discovered was my why. And what I called my why is, why do I get up in the morning? So, and all of you people, all of the people watching and all the young people watching the show, you need to start thinking about what's your why. Why do you get up in the morning? Why? What motivates you? What gets you going? What gets you excited? What gets you passionate? And in my particular case, what gets me very passionate, very excited, is building businesses. I like to see things start with a little seed. I like to see that tree grow nice and straight as a little tree. And then I like to put a lot of water on the soil and see that tree become a magnificent, beautiful oak tree. And that gives me a lot of pride, and it also gives me a lot of satisfaction. So what really makes me tick is I love to build businesses. It's just what I love to do. Now, not everybody loves to build businesses. There's a lot of people that love to be part of a business or part of a company in that type of collaborative type of a situation where they don't have the pressure of being the owner. But in my particular case as an entrepreneur, I love to start something and I love to build it. I love to put water on it so that the tree grows strong, that can't get knocked over in the wind. And I also love the fact that I get to surround myself with so many interesting and fascinating people because I've hired them. So I hire people that I like to be around. So I get to learn from the people that I hire. I get to explain to them what I've learned in my career to help them move forward where they're going. And together as a team, we're able to build this great organization. So that is my why.
That is real great. So along with reflection, it sounds like there's you guys have to pay a lot of attention, especially to those newer startups and new businesses. We have a couple more student questions, then we'll let you go, Andy. We have Matt. Matt has a pretty good question for you. You should be able to unmute.
Hi, sir. Nice to meet you. So my question is, when you found your company many years ago, did you expect such success?
You know, Matt, I didn't start the first company, large company that I founded with 3 childhood friends. We ended up building an amazing company. We employed thousands of people. We did $11 billion in sales, and we really made an impact. But to be quite frank, we didn't start the business at the beginning for world domination. We started it because we liked each other. We enjoyed each other's company. We kind of had this idea that maybe we could build this financial company. And it was more of a fact that I could work with some childhood friends. We could go to work every day. We could have some laughs. We could have some fun. And then one thing led to another. And the wonderful thing about it is that my 3 childhood friends and I each had different expertises. We each had different specialties. We each had a different way to look at the world. We each had a different way in which we were educated. And we brought all that together and it just worked. So when you're thinking about something that you want to start as an entrepreneur, you want to start your first business, of course you want to think about making money. You want to think about really, after you get started, you want to start thinking about world domination because you really want to dominate the world in a positive way with your offering or your service or your product. You want to be the #1 company. But when you start, you really need to start with something that you enjoy, something that you're passionate about, something that you have an expertise in, because that will give you the best chance to make it. So my recommendation is that if you find something that really turns you on, something that really makes you feel really good inside, something that you walk down the street and you feel something like super different in your body. You can almost feel the spirit happening when you're thinking about this business. That's the one you want to go into, and that's the one you want to make an amazing business.
That's great advice and great question, Matt. So before we let you go, Andy, is there any advice that you could give to these kids as they go out into the world, whether they want to go into entrepreneurship or, your company kind of touches on broadcasting as well, journalism. What kind of advice would you have for these kids as they kind of figure out what they want to do in life?
Well, I think the most important thing to think about, and this is really something that everybody watching the show and the younger people watching the show live right now need to think about, is the type of attitude that you have. Do you have a can-do attitude or a can't-do attitude? In other words, do you feel that you can do things? Do you feel that you're ready to attack the day? Do you feel that you're ready to take it on? Do you feel like you're made to get this done? And that's a can-do attitude. And then the can't-do attitude is where you always say to yourself, oh, I can't do that, or that's something that I can't do, or they can do that because they're smarter than I am, but I can't do that, or they can do that because they're better educated than I am, but I can't do that, or they can do that because they have more money to start with, but I can't do that. Well, let me tell you, those people that think that they can't do things, whether you believe you can do something or you can't do something, you're right. So what that means, if you believe you can't do something, you're right, you're not going to do it. But if you believe you can do something, you're right about that as well. You can do it. You know, in my life, when I walk into a room, you know, I'm never the best educated person in the room. I'm typically not the wealthiest person in the room. I'm typically maybe even not the most, let's just say, I'm not the perfect man. Let me put it to you that way. When I walk into a room, I'm not the most educated. I'm not the wealthiest. I'm not the most perfect. Sometimes I might be a little off the cuff. Sometimes I might be a little gruff. Sometimes I might be a little rough. Sometimes I say things that I shouldn't say. But I'll tell you what, when I walk into a room and I walk into my business, I have a can-do attitude because I believe I belong. And for all the young kids watching the show, you belong. You belong. You can do it. If anybody told you you can't do it, they're incorrect. And I have this word that I call dream stealers. And for all the young entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs watching the show, a dream stealer is someone that continually tells you that you can't do it. They steal your dreams. I have an idea for a business. You can't do that. I have an idea because I want to go to this college. You can't do that. I have an idea because I have an idea that I want to start a small business as someone in high school. You can't do that. Those people that say can't all the time to you, if you have people like that in your life, I call them dream stealers. And all they try and do is steal your dreams. Don't let them do it. Don't let them do it. As soon as someone says to you that you can't do something, or they steal your dreams, or they try and steal your dreams, say to yourself, I'm going to prove them wrong. No one's going to steal your dreams. No one's going to say you can't do anything. No one's going to say you can't do what you want to do. If someone ever says that to you, for everybody listening, know that you can do it, and you can get it done, and you can prove them wrong.